Welcome back to Primetime Super Friends, the show that promises to put the arrow in your quiver, the flash in your pan, and the bat in your shitty belfry. I'm Jeremy, your host this time around, and I'm joined by one of my Super Friends this week, our guide to all things Gotham, John.
Ahoy hoy!
Conspicuous by his absence is our guide to all things Central City. Presumably he's off jerking his dick off super fast somewhere, thinking about, I don't know, maybe Barry, maybe Firestorm, maybe both.
The Reverse Flash?
Let's not get ridiculous. Miss you, Michael. If you're new to the show, each week we cover everything that's been going on in the world of Arrow, The Flash, and Gotham. And this show is loaded up with spoilers, so if you don't want to know what's been happening before you watch the episodes, you should stop listening now, or just don't be a bitch and listen anyway.
Super Friends, the legendary superpower show.
Alright, first up, we're going to get into Gotham.
All right, so The Blind Fortune Teller this week was meant to be like the show to watch for Gotham fans. I say fans in quotation marks. It was said by one of the producers that this is the beginning of the story of how the Joker came to be. They left that vague on purpose. You're not supposed to know if this is actually the Joker, if this is something that influenced the Joker, blah, blah, blah. Who knows? So with that being pretty vague, before we get into all that, let's look at Fish. Fish is still at Fight Club. She rallied the troops, she's the leader and says, we're a family and blah, 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 which, damn well she'd abandon them at any moment. She negotiates her way into a meeting with the mercenary leader. They'd been having their organs harvested, and this leader is known as the manager, and that's kind of where it gets left off there. What did you think of the whole side story?
I think Fish should kill herself. And if that means Jada Pinkett needs to die, I'm fine with that. That bitch has to go.
I don't think she needs to die necessarily, but I would like to see maybe she had disappeared off the show for a minute, so when she comes back...
No, she needs to die.
I was just thinking it'd leave a better impact.
Die.
But, whatever.
Die!
Please don't die. You can kill the character off, that's fine.
That's what I meant.
Sure you did. We get the Penguin. He's kind of floundering with being in charge of the nightclub. You would have thought that he would have learned something from all of his connections throughout this entire series, but apparently he doesn't know anything except trying to impress Mommy. So, at the end this week, he gets Butch, who's been turned into a puppet by Zaz. Still love the Zaz character. Love the guy who's playing him. He's super creepy. But this was literally just, it was a story that didn't need to happen.
All I could think is, don't give me a human puppet, because they're going to be jerking themselves off or fucking shitting into buckets and then putting the bucket on their head or something. I'm doing some fucked up shit to this human puppet.
So you would actively watch him jerk off for your own amusement? Is that what you're saying? That's what I got from that statement.
I'd make him jerk off on a biscuit and then eat it.
That is disgusting. You have a sick, twisted sense of humor. If I ever go brain dead, just stay the fuck away from me.
No, I'm putting my balls on your chin.
Oh, no. Well, at least I'll be brain dead and hopefully don't know
what's going on. Then I'm taking a picture
on.
and making it your Facebook profile picture.
I don't think you can do that. Bruce and Alfred this week, short and to the point, have a board meeting with Wayne Enterprises, and Bruce is like, hey, I'm watching all of you bitches, and they're like, oh snap, this kid's kind of scary.
Which, okay, since when does any 10-year-old, I don't care how rich his family was when they were still alive, why would he have the stroke called board meeting? That's ridiculous, because maybe I'm being too realistic, but obviously all of the stuff that was left to him when his parents died would probably be with Alfred right now, not with him, because he's underage. He has no power to call any kind of meeting. I guess you could make the argument that they're like, oh, let's give him a meeting because he's a Wayne, or what, he'll eventually own the company or whatever, but all this stuff he's saying about how he hopes they're running the company and the accusations he's leveling mean dick, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, I mean, you would think that there would have to be something that would default to, power of attorney. Alfred would actually have to set some of this into motion if they left him that power.
That's if this show took any kind of remotely realistic approach to anything.
Well, and let's be honest, they're completely ignoring everything that was supposed to be year one, if we're looking at it from a comic book view.
Yeah.
Because at this point, he's already putting them all in check, so he's not going to have to come back and clean up Wayne Enterprises.
Well, I saw an interview recently with one of the guys that works on the show. I don't know if it was a producer or what, I can't remember, but he basically was like, hey, we're not following the comic books on this show if you haven't figured that out yet. We're just kind of doing our own thing. And to that I say, all right, it's fine to take some liberties, but fuck you, you're taking way too many.
Yeah, well, okay, to that point, I guess I would say that I would be okay if it was like, we're doing our own thing, we're just using it as an outline or a basis or an idea for where this is going. But if that's the case, then you better have some better ideas for the show than are in the comics, or at least something that's the equivalent, because so far, it's just not.
Well,
it's not.
Ignoring any comic book beef I have with this particular scenario, it's not remotely realistic.
No. Yeah,
because you know what I would do if a 10-year-old kid tried to tell me how to run my company? Aside from laughing at him, I'd offer him a goddamn set of Hot Wheels or something and tell him to go fuck himself. And then if he didn't go fuck himself, I'd kill him.
You were all about the murder this week.
It's Gotham,
or at least
dude.
People dying.
Yeah. Fuck it. Kill them all.
I don't think you can advocate killing children. At least I hope not.
In a show, I'm not trying to murder kids.
Okay, so you're saying kill off the character
Damn,
at least in
man.
this one. Hey, I'm just.
No, don't kill Bruce Wayne. That might kind of run the show.
Where do we go now? I don't know. Everybody dance.
Remember when we introduced the Graysons? We
Your
can
kid
do
won't
something
last
with that.
long either. We have a side story with Barbara, and she befriends Ivy and Cat Girl or whatever.
Creepy bitch.
Yeah, she's asking for help in picking out outfits to impress Jim.
Because if I walked into my empty apartment and there were a couple of young girls living there with not an ounce of my permission or me knowing who the fuck they are, I'd just be like, hey, watch me change clothes.
I think from your standpoint, it's even worse.
Right?
But, still.
Watch me change clothes and give me love advice.
Spoilers at the end of this episode. She gets her heart broken. I didn't fucking care. Like,
That bitch doesn't have a heart.
I don't like her at all. So far, I mean, I like Leslie Tompkins tremendously better than I like Barbara.
Right.
So yeah, hopefully she, goes and jumps off. Now I'm killing characters. I'm gonna tell her to jump off of a bridge.
Naked.
Whatever floats your boat. It's in the water under the bridge, I'm sure.
Her titties would float.
Maybe. I don't know. That's neither here or there.
No, that's here. That's so here.
All right, so this week mainly focused on the Gordon and Leslie Tompkins team up. Jim was still feeling pretty
Power
blue. Sure, Power Hour. Blue balls. Because he makes it pretty well known that he wants to get some in this episode and the last one. I guess he's homeless. Because where does he stay? Because he was living with Barbara, and then she moved back in. And he's eating with Leslie and acting like he hasn't had a meal in weeks. So I think he just wants someone to play house with.
Maybe he's sleeping on her couch.
Could be.
Maybe he's sleeping in the locker room at the police station.
That would probably be more likely.
Maybe he's sleeping in bed with Bullock.
I bet he's warm.
He'd be a good cuddler. He just
Yeah.
looks that way.
Yeah. Giant teddy bear.
Is that your gun in your pocket, or are you just happy to see me?
Little column A, little column B.
Cuddly.
The two decide to go out on a date and attend Haley's Circus, which was pretty cool. I'm a huge Nightwing / Robin fan, so I liked this.
Say what it is. You're a big fan of Dick.
I was trying to avoid that, but it's true. It's damn true. We get, a young John and Mary Grayson in this, where they were kind of feuding, and they have this family feud going on.
Oh, yeah. It was Romeo and Juliet all over again.
Here's the thing. Like, at the end, they make up, and it's like, oh, we're getting married, which means that they're going to have, all kinds of, babies, or at least, Dick Grayson.
Baby.
A baby.
I was just glad that he hadn't been born yet.
Here's the thing, though, is I would love to say, because we've learned this lesson 100 times now, that, oh, cool, that's it. That's the perfect amount of them that we need. They don't need to show back up at
they
all.
Will. Yeah, they
but
will.
I'm pretty sure within the next 3 episodes, we'll probably get a scene where they popped out a baby, and they're like, look, we named him John. He can do flips and shit.
John?
I mean, sorry, his middle name's John.
Is it?
Richard?
Yeah. Hey, look at this little dick we just had. Isn't it cute and hairless?
But if they leave it where it is, good job and thank you. Just leave it there. Oh, I just realized what... Man, come on.
Touch my hairless dick.
Again. And that's enough of that.
Eventually, it's going to grow up and become big and strong.
While they're there, a fight breaks out, and... Damn you. We find out that it's because somebody was murdered in the circus. Turns out that it's the mother of Jerome. I didn't catch a last name. Anyways, the circus people were trying to cover it up. We get the Leslie Tompkins, Jim Gordon crime duo investigating the situation, which eventually leads them to find out that Jerome had killed his mother.
They needed a dog in a van.
Yeah, oh yeah, that would have been great.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like they could have named him something subtle like
Scooby.
The best scene in this episode was, what essentially led to the confession. I mean, there's a journey to get there. I really felt like it was kind of irrelevant. But the kid that played the Joker inspiration, or Joker, we don't know, I thought did a pretty good job of actually flipping the switch from scared and very sentimental to just batshit crazy.
No, I have to give credit where it's due, and the kid that played, Jerome, or if he's the Joker, then played the Joker. That scene where he essentially confesses to killing his mom was pretty fucking good. He did a great job of playing Baby Joker.
Yeah. I mean, the crying into the craziness and the build, and then the laugh was amazing.
The laugh.
It's very Hamill-like to me anyways.
And just the kind of just random dark shit he was saying.
The only reason that I could see this not being the Joker, though, is because you would lock a kid like that up pretty quick, right? I mean,
or would you?
They would be on file somewhere.
He'd probably be spend some time in a psychiatric ward, and then if he acted right for a while, he'd get bounced.
But I feel like he'd still have background on somebody at that point, unless he's
using a fake name, which he is,
or fakes his death or something to that effect. Yeah. Oh yeah, fake name. Didn't think about that.
Fake name.
He is a carny. Probably doesn't have a lot of paperwork to back everything up.
He didn't have any other family, so.
Yeah, I liked it. I thought it was pretty good. Jim and Leslie figure it all out, and they're all like, "We're a great team." And she finally decides to let Jim get some. And they go, I guess, do the hanky-panky after getting caught by Barbara making out in the locker room.
Why did, in my head, that was the hokey-pokey, and they turned themselves around?
Because it's kind of the same idea, right? Hokey-pokey?
Well, if you turned her around, got it from behind...
I think you're...
And then she's facing the door when Barbara walks up.
You've gone down a rabbit hole that I didn't prepare in my review.
She just winks at Barbara and invites her in.
Do I need to leave the room right now?
I mean, maybe.
I'd rather you think about this after this is recorded and I'm gone.
Well, but then it wouldn't be recorded.
Well, I said think. I didn't say verbalize it.
That's not as sexy.
Meh. So, I'd give Gotham a pretty good review this week. I enjoyed the episode, but... next week it'll probably, give us a black eye, smack us around, whatever. Teach us our lesson for having any kind of love towards it.
I'd give one scene from Gotham a pretty good grade this week, and the rest of it can suck my fucking nut.
I'd give it 2. I liked the Graysons interaction, just being subtle and brief. There it is, it's done.
Yeah, but it's like you said, that's not going to last.
I know. Just let me dream.
Wet dream?
No.
Damn it. All right. So that's going to wrap it up for Gotham this week. Next up, we're going to visit Star City and talk about Arrow. All right, this week on Arrow, there were a couple main storylines, and one focused around the island where Thea and Oliver had gone back to train. The others centered around some flashbacks to Star City several years ago when Oliver and Maceo had come back while they were still working with Argus. So I'm going to basically go through one and then the other all at once instead of jumping back and forth. So we're going to talk about the flashback storyline first. And basically, as we saw at the end of last week, Amanda Waller has brought Maceo and Oliver back to Star City. We find out that the reason they're in Star City is because China White has brought the virus there to auction it off to the highest bidder, which Gotham City seems like a more logical choice to me than that if we're working in the DC universe, but whatever.
That would have been cool to see their take on Gotham.
Yeah, to see them go to Gotham, and I mean, I get why they didn't, but anyway. The first thing I noticed that was kind of weird to me about these flashbacks, and there were a few things. Oliver's walking around in broad daylight, and I guess the only way he wouldn't be recognized is because he now has long hair and a beanie on.
I hate flashback hair. Like, it drives me nuts.
I mean, I get it, because it's how you differentiate, and plus, he was on a fucking island, so he wouldn't have cut his hair. But he's been off the island for almost the whole season now, and in a major city. Plus, there was this big speech that Waller gave Oliver about how if anyone finds out you're alive, they'll be dead and so will you. Yet he's just walking around in broad daylight across the street from his fucking mom's company or his family's company without any kind of disguise on. If you're like one of the richest people in the world, motherfuckers are going to recognize you, especially when you're supposed to be dead.
Yep.
Like, I'm pretty sure if Elvis walked down the road kicking it in Nashville, you know? Tupac strolling down the street. It was stupid. And there's not that many stupid moments on this show, but that was one. Oliver has to sneak into Queen Consolidated at night, basically, because Maceo doesn't have enough time to familiarize himself with the floor plans, and they need to get some info out of the computer mainframe. While they're kind of staking out Queen Consolidated, Oliver sees Thea, so they follow her, which isn't at all creepy. And she goes to visit, well, she's basically pretending to visit the graves of Oliver and their dad. But it's really a drug deal. She's scoring some drugs off of some dude. And Oliver's best friend from season 1, Tommy, confronts Thea and tells her, "Hey, bitch, you can't come to my birthday party because it's 21 and up."
It's pretty much the equivalent of it, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. That whole scene just played off a little bit creepy to me. Big brother watching you from the bushes while you store like drugs. And
stalker watching you from the bushes.
Yeah. And Maceo's like over Oliver's shoulder, presumably beating off behind him. I don't know. Like, oh, look at that skirt on Thea.
I don't think there was anything that gave me that impression. What you interpret that as is your own business, I guess.
Yeah, whatever. So Oliver steals some info from the Queen Consolidated computers. He's, I guess, stealing info about the meeting and where and when this stuff's going to be auctioned off. But while he's at it, he also steals a file that's marked as a message from his dad, addressed to him. And in another moment in this episode that made me roll my eyes, he uses his own fingerprint to access the Queen Consolidated mainframe, with Maceo making the comment that, well, they wouldn't have removed you from the mainframe because you're dead. Why would they bother? Well, that may be, but I'm pretty sure if a dead person accessed the mainframe of a major company, that'd set off some fucking alarms.
I would think so.
But
maybe they didn't have that high security software 3 years ago. And
maybe that'll pay off down the road. I don't know, but it rubbed me the wrong way, not the right way, like Christina Aguilera.
Wow, thanks 1998.
So as Oliver's sneaking around inside Queen Consolidated, Felicity shows up and is kind of looking around in the office or whatever. Looks at a picture of Oliver from back in the day when he was all clean shaven and whatnot, and remarks that he's pretty fucking cute. It's a shame he's dead, though. Felicity's got a little bit of necrophilia going on.
I think she was just reminiscing. I don't know that she would bang dead Oliver.
She wasn't reminiscing. She didn't know the guy at that point.
Oh, okay.
She was being creepy.
Yeah, okay, can't argue there.
But dead or not, I'd fuck her.
Or him, because we were talking about him being dead.
Yes. Fuck that hole where the sword went through.
I don't want to get back into that kind of conversation.
Listen to Pub Talk. We talk about fucking bullet holes.
Some of us do. Not all of us.
So Oliver sneaks into Tommy's birthday party, and we get a couple of, I guess, funny little moments. We see Diggle working security outside the party with his brother, and basically remarking that, shit, if I knew I was going to have to work rich kids' parties, I think I'd have just kept getting shot at, basically. Mm-hmm. And then we see Tommy trying to hit on some girl inside the party, and he's telling her he wants to eat sushi off her body, but he's not going to use a fork.
He's a sly dog, that Tommy.
Yeah, I think he might use his mouth, y'all. I'm not sure. And
that doesn't sound good.
And I don't know. I don't know if he's talking about eating like actual sushi or if he's just going to go down on the bitch. I don't know.
Fishy indeed.
Not fish mooney. You don't want that in your mouth.
Or do you?
I don't.
Okay, just checking.
Unless she's paying me a lot. Yeah, anyway. Thea shows up at the birthday party, and because we've got to make sure that we know that this took place a few years ago, the biggest hit of 2009, Right Round by Flow Riders, playing in the background.
Nice. I didn't even catch that.
Well, I was just like, hey, it's that song from The Hangover. That movie came out in 2009.
Man, it doesn't seem that long ago.
While he's at the party, Oliver sees the drug dealer that gave Thea her score earlier, and she tries to hit him up again. Oliver's looking on and follows the drug dealer upstairs where he's alone. Threatens the dude, slams him up against the wall and whatnot. The dude recognizes him as Oliver Queen and pulls a knife, threatens to kill him. And Oliver snaps his fucking neck and dumps him over a balcony.
Because he's a murdering fool.
And super inconspicuous, right?
Oh, yeah. No one will ever notice.
So, of course, the cops are called, break up the party. We see Detective Lance, who... There were a couple of scenes with him and Laurel where he's got a drinking problem.
It's pretty heavy on the sauce.
I couldn't tell if they were supposed to be flashbacks or present day. It may have been both. And at the end of the episode, it was definitely present day. But
they were flashbacks because he had hair.
Okay, true. Anyway, he shows up and he's sauced. And he's talking trash to Laurel, who had also showed up at the party. About how she ran off to be a lawyer and stuff like that. Makes a comment to Thea about her basically being a slut, like fucking Sarah, his own daughter.
Bangity bang.
Calls Tommy a douchebag. And, as this whole scene is playing out, Oliver's looking on kind of in the crowd of partygoers. Maceo shows up behind him with a gun and makes him leave. Oliver gives him a big speech about basically how he wants to stay behind in Star City. Maceo's lecturing him on how shitty his disguise was at the party and makes a comment about that disguise wouldn't work for anybody, even if you had grease paint over your face with that hoodie. Which
I normally like the pointing out the stupidity behind things, but that one kind of made me roll my eyes a little bit.
Yeah, me too, because it was like, really, that's what you go to, grease paint? I don't know. That was not something I would think of when someone has a shitty disguise.
Right.
So Oliver parts ways with Maceo, goes back to his family home where he sneaks in with no one noticing yet again. He watches a message, the file he had from his dad earlier. He sticks that into a tablet and watches that video, which basically explains the list of names, which we, if you've been watching from the beginning, was from season 1, where he was picking motherfuckers off. Touching moment, blah, blah, blah. So Oliver decides, well, I better go back and save Maceo, who is at this point trying to stop the cell of the virus. Of course, he gets busted, and Oliver saves the fucking day. They stop China White. They get the virus from her, and all seems to be well. We meet General Matthew Shreve, who I guess is supposed to be Amanda Waller's superior with Argus. And he tells Oliver that he's going to be debriefed, but it has to be in China. Then he can make sure that he goes anywhere in the world he wants. And kind of to close out our flashbacks, we see a scene with Tommy asking Laurel to dinner, which, if you've seen the first season, you know those two fucked like rabbits.
Like rabbits?
Probably.
Good for him.
And then just kind of before I jump back to the island storyline, we had a scene that was towards the end of the episode that was present day, but it fed into all of Detective Lance and Laurel's drinking problems from the flashbacks. He's drinking again in present day. He's visiting Sarah's grave. Laurel walks up on him. He makes a comment about, oh, this is going to kill your mother. That bitch already knows. Sorry about it. And, of course, he's pissed off at Laurel. Not because of her being the canary, but because he thinks that they were just so much alike. But Laurel broke that trust and bond, and she's a dirty cunt for it. That and for not being as hot as Sarah in the Black Canary outfit. He didn't say that. I'm adding that.
Oh, okay. Because
Yeah.
that'd be weird if he said that.
If he gets into the incest, I'm off that storyline.
I think I might be out of that show.
Laurel wants him to go to AA with, basically, she's alluding to them going together. And Lance says, all right, Captain Lance says, all right, but we're going to go to different locations. And he hands her the bottle of hooch he was holding, and she pours that motherfucker out for her home sister.
Yep, sorry, that's exactly what I was going to say if you didn't. Okay, since you summed all that up, can I just say, like, okay, or I'll ask, am I the only one that's kind of over these flashbacks?
I'm really hoping that they start to minimize them with season 4 once we kind of. I mean, and I don't know if this will be where he says you can go anywhere in the world. If that holds true, I don't know if that'll be how he gets back to Star City, but I'm hoping that we start to get away from that with season 4 because sometimes it's not necessarily confusing to follow, but it's annoying to follow.
I think for me, it's a lot of that storyline. I know it's going to tie into the end of the season or whatever, but I get really bored with it a lot of the time. The whole tracking down the serum or virus or whatever the hell it is. And I just kind of zone out until we get to the conclusion of wherever that storyline is for the episode.
I can say that season 1 and 2, I was a lot more on board with the flashbacks because season 1 it dealt with him being on the island and how he got out of there. Season 2 it was also him getting off the island, but his relationship with Slade, which played more into what was going on present day. Right now, it feels like the storyline going on in the flashbacks doesn't mean a damn.
Well, and I felt like with that, at least, there was the dynamic of Slade. Slade was a character that you liked, you wanted to like, and, it just made that impact so much more powerful when he's the villain.
And my assumption is that this is the flashbacks this season are going to all feed into whatever happened to the kid and stuff like that in the past, and probably then why Maceo's going to end up switching sides and being a good guy.
Right, and I like Maceo for that, but just the rest of it, I'm just not interested in. The Waller stuff, it's there, but it's just not... It's not as compelling as the rest of the show is.
Well, in this particular episode, not this episode, but this flashback stuff with the virus and all the fights in Hong Kong and stuff, I just feel like I'm watching Rush Hour 2.
I hadn't really thought about that. I just felt like it could be summed up a lot faster than they have. It feels like they're stalling and dragging their feet just to have material for the flashbacks.
All right, so to talk about the other storyline from this week, again, Thea and Oliver have gone back to the island to train. And we start off the episode just with some little dialogue back and forth between Thea and Oliver, but I thought this one was funny. They're eating something over a campfire, and Thea makes a comment, "Oh, this is really good. What is it?" And he says, "If I told you what it is, you probably wouldn't want to eat it." And so I just assumed it was it was people.
That's what you assumed?
That's what I assume. It's people.
Not like some sort of guts or... I don't know, weird spider thingy, just...
Yeah, it looked like a big chunk of flesh of some sort.
Gross.
I think they were eating people, you sick cannibal motherfuckers.
That's pretty nasty. What part of the people? Never mind.
It had to be the dick. No, it's probably the ass. It was a little bit too fleshy to be the dick. We see a scene with Oliver has fallen asleep by the campfire, and he's calling out Sarah's name in his sleep, which, of course, prompts Thea to wake him up and tell him he was dreaming and calling out Sarah's name. Thea wants to know why Oliver didn't tell her about Sarah dying and wants to know who killed her, so Oliver walks the fuck off. He takes a walk and discovers that Slade Wilson is not locked up as he left him at the end of Season 2, and he's loose on the island. So he hauls ass back to the campsite where he gets a phone call on some sort of satellite telephone, and it's Merlin. Merlin sets Slade loose because he's trying to test the two queens and get Oliver to get his killer instinct back. Of course, Slade attacks, and he traps the queens in what was his cell there on the island. He tells Thea that Oliver has a bunch more secrets, alludes to what happened with Shadow, and fucking leaves them. Thea asks Oliver yet again about how did Sarah die. Oliver distracts her with an escape plan that involves her tiny arms and hands releasing the switch or whatever that controls the door to the cell. Her arms aren't quite long enough, so he, just dislocates her shoulder. No big deal.
Yeah, logical.
Mm-hmm. Then she is able to release the door, and they escape back out onto the island, where Oliver ends up having to save Thea from his own booby trap, where his arm gets impaled by some sort of, projectile of some sort. Might have been a big wooden dick. I don't know. I wasn't paying attention. While Oliver is sitting on the ground injured, Thea asks yet again about Sarah and what the fuck happened, and Oliver finally reluctantly, in a really slow manner where he has to basically make her figure it out for herself, tells Thea that she in fact is the one that killed Sarah due to whatever Malcolm drugged her with.
Roofies.
Why don't they call them Flories? Thea freaks the fuck out, which probably understandable. And while she's freaking out, Slade attacks again. Fight breaks out, and after some double team action from the queens, and not the sexy kind, Slade finds himself face to face with Thea and her gun. She's gonna kill this motherfucker, but Oliver talks her out of it. And, basically he's saying, hey, Merlin wants us to be killers, so we can't be like him. We can't kill this dude. So Slade is locked up again. He tells Oliver that there's a darkness in Thea, and basically says, hey, Merlin must have got a hold of her. And then he says, so, how's that one with the glasses doing? Was it Felicity? Oh, snaps.
You think they're gonna bang?
I hope so.
They're about the two coolest people on the show sometimes.
Yeah, and I just picture Felicity with a strap on fucking him in the eye socket.
Wow, why would you go there?
Because it's a hole, John. It's a hole.
Just because there's a hole doesn't mean you gotta bang it.
False. Slade also makes the comment, how many people can Oliver Queen lose before there is no more Oliver Queen? So I just assume someone else close to him is dying this season to make that quote meaningful.
I think that has to happen.
The Queens come back home to Star City, and Oliver gives Thea a little mini speech about you can't tell Laurel what really happened with Sarah, that they still need Merlin, who shows up in the apartment. Thea's super fucking mad at him. She says, I'll let you teach, help me, train me, whatever. But I'm not your fucking daughter, bitch. Pretty much end the episode there. It looks like next week we're going to get a showdown with Ra's al Ghul, and I think we're also going to get the Atom suit.
Finally, to all of that.
Yeah. So, I guess just to kind of summarize, I enjoyed the current day parts of this episode, and a couple of little things from the flashbacks, but this was what I would call a middle of the road episode to me. It's hopefully setting up for something really cool next week.
I hope so. I'm good with anything that involves what's his name, Manu Bennett, the guy that plays.
He's
Deathstroke.
awesome. Love him.
He's one of those people that every time is on that he's on screen, it makes you watch. It's impactful, and I think the idea of using him sparingly is actually a good idea because it's going to grab you every time he's on an episode.
Well, and he did such a good job of being such a big-time threat last season.
Well, and you still kind of like him anyways.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, it's Deathstroke. I've always liked Deathstroke.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Anyway, so that's going to do it for this week on Arrow. Next up, we're going to take a trip to Central City. That might be a little less sexy without Michael here.
Or at least perverted.
Sexy.
Delinquent.
Sexy.
Delinquent is the word we use.
Sexy! I'm on your side, Michael. All right, so I'm going to fill in for Michael, and I guess because I'm the second most disgusting human being on this show, and tell you all about the Flash for this week. We start off exactly where we left off the week before with the explosion of Firestorm, and we see back in the lab at Star Labs that there's no radiation been detected on Barry's suit, which apparently has a built-in radiation detector. So the blast wasn't nuclear. Firestorm lives. Barry and Caitlin return to discover that the two, Ronnie and the professor, separated successfully. And just enough of their clothes were burned to make it a little bit sexy, but not vulgar. All the naughty bits are still covered. We see the general knows Firestorm is alive. He's going to be coming for him. Back at Star Labs, they're running all kinds of tests on the now separated two parts of Firestorm. And Cisco makes a comment as he walks into the room where Caitlin and Ronnie are doing a little making out. He makes a comment of, oh, I forgot how much I hate walking in on you guys. And I didn't know if he meant making out or if he meant fucking.
I hope it was just making out. Because I feel like Cisco's the type of guy that would watch.
So we see that there's some tension in the two leftover parts of Firestorm between the professor and Ronnie, who keeps getting called Ronald by the professor, and he doesn't like that shit.
Probably because he doesn't want to be associated with red and yellow clowns.
They're grown men that just do nothing but hang around children all day and try to feed them things to make them fatter, presumably to eat them.
That's pretty accurate, I would think.
Ronald McDonald is a scary motherfucker.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to share a name with him. Anyway, they bicker back and forth about whether or not the professor took good care of them and whatnot while they were sharing Ronnie's body. Whatever. Basically just establishing that they don't necessarily like each other. Professor Stein returns to his wife, and they do some gross old people making out.
Everybody needs some loving.
I suppose so. Then we get a scene with Joe. Shows Barry the crime scene and the 3D rendering that we got last episode, and Barry comes to the conclusion. Oh, maybe it's time travel.
I feel like there should have been a stronger breakdown, though. It's kind of like, hey, this is a picture of when your mom died.
Yeah, and the blood says that you must have been an adult, so therefore, time travel.
You were there, dude.
A plus B equals Y.
Instead, no, I just mean, like, you would think that he'd have some kind of, like, flashback or, like, mental, like, breaking moment. Instead, he's just like,
Oh, time travel. And they go to Dr. Wells, who says, hey, time travel is very fucking possible, y'all.
I just don't know how to do
done it. Because he's there from the future, I maintain.
You
So,
think he's just trying to,
By
like,
the
amp
way,
up Flash's powers to steal them?
we haven't seen anything out of Eddie in several episodes, have we? Or, like, very minor if we have.
Oh, yeah, only in passing.
Something big's coming with that, I think. Iris is chasing a lead over the Burning Man and Star Labs, and we kind of get glimpses into that throughout the episode. We also see that Ronnie and Professor Stein now share Ronnie's love for pizza. Professor's craving him some goddamn pizza.
Then he owes Ronnie some sort of favor because pizza's amazing.
Fuck yeah. If it's good enough for the Ninja Turtles, it's good enough for you, Professor Douche.
Yeah.
I guess we're setting up the fact that these two are connected still somehow. General shows up and is trying to catch Firestorm, although in this case Firestorm is really half of Firestorm. It's Ronnie.
Which I gotta say, I love Clancy Brown in this role. I like him in pretty much everything. It's a Lex Luthor drop, man. He was the voice of Lex Luthor.
Ah, did not know that.
Yep.
The Flash shows up to make the save, and there's some sort of grenade device that the General has that he sets off, and basically turns the Flash into a big-ass pincushion.
Yeah, it looked pretty damn painful.
Yeah, it did.
That fight scene was cool, too. I like that kind of, slow motion, moving everything, but looking powerful at the same time.
So this thing is apparently attracted to kinetic energy, which I thought was a pretty cool little idea, actually. Caitlin shows up and saves them from the General.
In her A-Team van.
Yeah, it really was. Get in the van, I've got candy. And titties, which are better than candy.
Unless it's some fat dude in a van.
But it's Caitlin in this scenario.
Oh, yeah, well, yeah.
I'd pass up any candy for that. That's all I'm saying.
We know. That's well documented.
Okay, just making sure. So now that we know the General is after Ronnie, Caitlin and Ronnie decide to go stay with Joe and Barry, where maybe the General won't find them. Iris shows up for dinner and wants to know what the hell's going on, and they blame a gas leak, which I just, because I'm immature, I thought they meant farts.
It really... To backtrack a little bit, it just now hit me that they're like, "Hey, maybe he won't find you guys here."
At Barry's
but he knows who Barry Allen is.
Yeah. I don't know if they maybe didn't realize that or whatever at this point. But pretty big hole there.
He called him by his name, but when he stuck him with a bunch of pins.
Yes, that's true.
And Ronnie was there for that too, so it's not like maybe he just missed.
Pretty dumb.
Again, this show, I love this show. I really do. I love this show, but sometimes they
roll your eyes a little bit.
Yeah, did you guys not put 2 and 2 together on that?
Speaking of rolling your eyes, rather than just saying, "Hey, I'm fucking this guy, that's why he's staying with me," Caitlin and Barry tell Iris that Ronnie is Caitlin's fucking cousin from Coast City, Green Lantern drop. But really, you can't just say, "Oh, this is the guy I'm dating."
This is Bill Smith. He lives here.
This is Richard Hardcock. I don't know.
Sure. I don't know. We could consult with Cisco. He could probably come up with a good name.
Yeah, he could come up with a good name.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah. Iris seems to think, like, that's kind of weird. Yeah, you can kind of see it in her face. She knows something's going on. Next up, we get another creepy Dr. Wells scene where he visits the General in his office and says, "Hey, I don't know how Firestorm works." General's like, "Yeah, that may be, but you know who it is. Both of them. And I'm going to capture both of them, motherfucker." Back at the Daily Bugle. I don't know what the name of the Central City paper is. So we'll go with that.
Sure, we'll go with that.
Iris is doing some research for her Burning Man story, and she sees a picture of Firestorm where you can pretty clearly see Ronnie's face in the middle of the fire. Oh shit, she's on to him.
Super sleuth.
As we alluded to earlier, Ronnie and the the professor are still connected, basically mentally at this point. They kind of feel each other's presence, so to speak, still, which sounds kind of sexy. Let's just be real.
Kind of sound like you said feel each other's presents, as in like gifts.
Oh, well, that would be cooler if they were soft.
I feel like you're picturing it right now, and it's making me a little uncomfortable.
Big fuzzy balls.
Fuzzy.
Anyway, so the general kidnaps the professor, and it affects Ronnie. He can feel something bad happening to the professor, basically, which is horrible, because what if one of them ever goes to jail and gets butt raped?
Well, and I don't think either of them, like, what if they were banging? Does it work both ways? Do they get good feelings, too? Because that can be kind of awkward.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it seemed to just be the bad ones, and then the pizza craving.
That sounds bad. He got the short end of that.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Because that old dude could feel fucking Caitlin.
Well, I just meant, like, he could feel all tingly. I didn't mean, like, he would actually... Let's just move on.
Feel her from the inside?
He was too busy feeling Ronnie on the inside.
Ugh.
That wasn't sexual. That's real deal. Did you watch this episode?
I did, but it still sounded sexy. Anyway, these motherfuckers
right.
figure out they're connected and carve wear into their arm in order to, I guess,
Communicate.
share the thought of, hey, I'm at this location.
You use the Morse code.
Yeah, use Morse code to distinguish the location, which leads to Flash and Ronnie going to make the save. Ronnie and the professor have to rejoin in order to become Firestorm and help save the Flash's ass and get the fuck out of Dodge. They do so successfully and then separate safely again. They decide that they've got to leave and go to Pittsburgh and get a little bit of information on their condition and whatever. When Caitlin points out, hey, motherfucker, we can help you here, you know. You don't have to go to a shithole like Pittsburgh.
What's wrong with Pittsburgh?
It's where you'd put the enema if America were a butthole.
Even Bret Hart said that wasn't accurate.
Well, anyway, they decide they're going to leave and go to Pittsburgh and basically say, hey, they're looking for us at Star Labs, so we've got to go. And Paul asks, Cisco and Caitlin are having a discussion at Jitters about the fact that Ronnie he was here, now he's gone again, blah, blah, blah. Iris walks up and asks Caitlin about her cousin. She doesn't remember what the fuck she said earlier, says the wrong city, and Iris has therefore caught her line and definitely knows something is up now. Barry takes Joe back to the scene of his mother's murder and tells him, hey, the fact that I know I'm going to fail saving her gives me an advantage against the man in yellow, to which I would argue that's fucking stupid.
Because obviously that happened in his future, so he probably enacted that future with the knowledge that he had already.
So you're still going to fail.
Sorry, dude. I thought you were supposed to be
your
super
mom's
smart.
gotta die to be a hero, man. Sorry, that shit happens. Batman knows it. He's not going to go try and travel back in time and save his parents. You should learn a lesson, Flash.
I feel like you just implemented that to be a thing on Gotham.
Yeah, probably. God damn it. In our final scene, and our best scene of this episode, we get Dr. Wells as the Reverse Flash, zooming the fuck in, snatching the General, taking him down into the sewers, revealing his secret identity. And when the General says, oh shit, you're one of them, Dr. Wells says, yeah, I am, and I protect my own. At this point, we hear some voices, some telekinesis going on.
Telepathy.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that because of Tenacious D.
I figured,
Okay.
but I'm just pointing it out.
And Grodd is in the sewers.
Animation on Grodd was awesome.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
He looked good.
And, of course, Dr. Wells points out, hey, this is an old friend of ours. And the General yells out, oh my God. And we get the, no, not God, Grodd, before he snatches the motherfucker into the sewers, hopefully killing him.
Yeah, I figured the reason they went with the telekinesis is one of two things. It's either that they want people to accept it a little bit more, or they didn't want to pay for the animation and actually having him talk.
Either way, it was cool to see him. It was actually also cool to see Dr. Wells in the Reverse Flash suit without vibrating.
Yes, that was nice because it's like, anybody that still had questions can't question it now.
Right.
I don't know. I'm kind of beginning to wonder if, he has that paper where the Flash has disappeared from the future. If maybe his thought process is if he can drain the Flash's powers at their peak, then he can go and be the Flash in the future once the Flash disappears.
I've stopped trying.
My mind won't let it be.
I say that, I'll still try, but I've stopped trying as much to figure it all out because it's not going exactly by the comics. So
no, well, I actually at this point I'm not even sure how it all falls in with the comics.
But I'm enjoying the ride, and I'm upset. This was the last episode until March 17th.
So we're gonna have a little bit of
a month break
from the Flash here. So
but don't worry, we'll have lots of Gotham for your asses.
Oh yeah,
a little bit of Arrow.
Still have to listen. You have to. Please.
We'll find you. All right, that's gonna do it for the Flash this week. I guess I'll close this motherfucker down. Alright, that's going to do it for another edition of Primetime Super Friends. If you like what you heard, go check us out on Twitter. We are at Primetime Super. You can also visit our website at pubtalkpodcast.com where you can find all the info about this show, as well as our other, better, funnier show, Pub Talk Podcast.
Not safe for anybody's ears.
Unless you like awesome things in your ears.
Oh, I assume most people do.
Okay, then go listen to it. Go leave us a rating and a review on iTunes and Stitcher as well. 5 stars, bitches. 5 motherfucking stars. If you want to follow us on Twitter individually, you can do that as well. I'm at Legendary Jeremy. John?
I'm at Raging Leprechaun.
And through the magic of editing, that douchebag Michael is...
at the Happening 81.
Alright, that's going to do it for this week. Come back next time and let us super quickly fuck your ear holes again. Until next time, stay super bitches.
Na 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 na.
Super fast fucking.